Supply chains have always existed. Uh, even 200 years ago, manufacturers would always have bought some things from some suppliers who would have bought some components from suppliers. The manufacturers would have sold products to retailers who would sold to customers. So supply chains have always existed. Why are we suddenly talking about supply chain management today? Well, this beautiful article, which is from September 1997 by Evans and Wurster, would probably be a useful index or a useful point to help us explain. So, this article, Evans and Wurster proposed this idea that any message has two dimensions which decide how strongly, how accurately the message gets transmitted: the reach or the richness. So, for example, a television advertisement is where the same advertisement gets transmitted to thousands and probably millions of people. Now, in that scenario, the reach of that advertisement is very high, but the richness is not as high because it's not individualized or personalized to individual consumers. An alternative is to create a small focus group or call consumers and talk to them directly. This now would be a very rich form of communication. But the focus groups or these kind of individual consumer connects cannot be held with too many consumers. So the richness or the reach is of such personalized communication is limited. And so businesses have to deal or have to have this trade-off between richness and reach. So even in supply chain, when they were managing flows, what companies did was they focused on flows within the organization, and they tried to ensure that purchasing function in an organization and marketing function in an organization within they were synchronized. The flow of goods within the company was synchronized, and everything within the company, the information, money, or material within the company was synchronized. So they tried richness within the company, and they made that trade-off, so they did not have the reach outside the company. Now, what changed was this thing called technology. Now, suddenly, because of technology, we can have both richness and reach, and this trade-off is broken. So, what happens for companies and businesses is they are able to monitor and control what their suppliers are doing without actually directly and actively talking or monitoring their suppliers. So they can do this subconsciously or unconsciously or asynchronously, whatever word you want to use. But the idea here is now managing and monitoring suppliers, distributors, and all the supply chain partners does not require firms to undertake those processes actively. And so suddenly, even though it was known from decades or maybe centuries back that suppliers affect my quality, distributors affect my ability to service my customers, because of this trade off situation, companies had very limited control and chose to increase the richness within themselves and ignored managing the supply chain. But now, with technology and all the new tools, the trade off has been broken, and the companies can have rich control over the entire supply chain. And that's why we are talking about supply chain management today more than ever.